Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Lauren Cole, Coordinator of Career Services here at Troy University. Lauren, thanks for joining me here today. And Career Services, we're talking about how students can get prepared for the job market. And there's a lot of opportunities to establish networking and connections. But right now, the situation is what the situation for the rest of the world is right now in dealing with COVID. And I know that has put a kind of a crimp in how you handle things over in Career Services, especially towards the end of a school year. This is when things are ramping up, especially for the job search.
Right.
But kind of talk about how you all have adapted to getting students in front of the people they need to be in the world of COVID.
Sure. So we are seeing the hiring numbers are down about 10% across the board for our graduating seniors, but that's better than we thought. So there's a silver lining. And I will say that employers, even if they don't have jobs available right now, which many of them still do, obviously, but for those that aren't hiring right away, they still want to build their pipeline, or they want to offer internships even post-graduation that could turn into that full-time job once their hiring freeze is lifted. So we are still seeing employers recruiting for sure. We're actually seeing a good number of these employers taking advantage of the virtual options that we have. So last year and then again this semester, we're going to offer virtual employer information sessions. Those have been really great. Those are beyond just what job do you have to offer right now. They really are giving an overview of their company. They're talking about their industry, best practices, and then they're taking questions from students. So we want students to look out for those, and we're still doing virtual career fairs. We've got one later in the semester, and we've already got a couple dozen companies that are signed up. So there are employers recruiting, and this is the time to make those relationships and those connections.
Well, and that's a big part of getting a job, finding your place in the career. And they always, the phrase is it's not what you know, but who you know, but it's actually a combination of both, right? It is what you know, and it is who you know, because networking is crucial, and it doesn't start your last semester, right?
That's right. And really what's key is it's not just, people kind of think when you say what's who you know, it's not necessarily it is not who your parents know, it is who you have gotten to know over the course of your undergraduate career and how they can reach out and recommend you based on your skills, based on your work ethic. Even if it's a student part-time job, you can really prove yourself in those jobs, and you'll have a supervisor that might be willing to email your resume to someone. So it's really crucial that students begin networking early on. That can take place through, like I said, part-time jobs, volunteer experience, clubs on campus, any way they're out in their communities, and then just starting to reach out when they're ready for internships or they're starting to think about graduation, maybe a year out or more, if they can. Go ahead and start sending their resume after we review it to everybody they know. Of course, their family, but their friends of friends. Call in those favors and ask them, if I've been a good worker for you,
Yes.
if I've represented you well, if you trust me, then will you please share this with anybody that's searching?
And you talk about organizations and groups, and those advisors and professors and instructors that are over those groups. You talked about that there, but a lot of times those are some of those connections here, because a lot of those advisors and professors have connections with people in the professional world.
Exactly. So ask anybody you know, and you know that is contingent on you being a good member of the group, a good student. So think about everybody that you interact with, how you come across, and if they would be willing to recommend you.
And of course, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about those employer information sessions, which is something that was introduced, and you talk about how successful they are, but it adds another element to the traditional career fair concept where you're meeting one person one day in a brief session. This is something where it's a little bit, even though you're online, it's a little bit more one-on-one and a little bit more of a connection to an individual in the employment.
Yeah, so it's a little less formal. So we want students to still, of course, dress nice, speak professionally, but they really have a less formal opportunity to ask the questions they want to know about. I'll use an example. We had a bank that's all over the Panhandle and throughout Alabama and some other states in the Southeast They did one, and they really talked about not just their positions, but what's it mean to work in banking, the different areas. What's it mean to work for a credit union? All of these different, educational opportunities. So yeah, it's been a really good opportunity for students to learn about different pathways and not just what jobs are available.
And maybe something that you might want to continue on even after COVID has ceased, that
Definitely.
these interactions are pretty good.
And I'll tell you what we found is these employers, they're going to continue to do virtual sessions. Some will definitely want to come back to campus after COVID, but they're saving a lot of money. And the more our students are comfortable holding those virtual sessions, these employers are interested in doing that. They're available more frequently. They don't have to travel, and they also can save money. But students can do that on their own. We really want students to start thinking about connecting with people post-COVID. Take somebody to get some coffee. Try to line some opportunities that we call informational interviewing up. Don't just sit in front of somebody and say, I want to work for you. That's not a bad approach, but you want to say, can you tell me more about your day-to-day job? I'm really interested in what you do every day and potentially any opportunities that you have.
All right, well, here's hoping students take advantage of that. And once again, at this time, Handshake is a place for them to get there. Tell them real quick how they can get on the Handshake if they haven't done it.
So our website, my.troy.edu/career services, and they'll see Handshake, Big Interview, our mock interviewing software, all kind of good stuff.
All right, well, here's hoping students take advantage of that, and we'll bring you back. We start talking about virtual career fair later this semester.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.